So many desires, or as many desires, so many blankets. Covering the radiance of the Spirit. We have to uncover to discover. We have to uncover, discover. We have to uncover, discover.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Divine Discoveries podcast. We're very honored to have all of you, and we have another deity special to do today that we're going to speak about, which is Lord Ganesha, who is one of the most popular Hindu deities, as you all may know. And it's his birthday this coming Wednesday, August the 27th. It's known as Ganesh Chaturthi. So we're actually doing this episode in honor of that festival. So, as we start with our introductory prayers, and you will all notice that one of the first prayers that we do is to Lord Ganesha, and we'll speak more about that as we go along in this episode. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Gum Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Gajananam Bhutaganadi Sevitam Kapitta Jambhu Phalasara Bhakshitam Umasutam Shoka Vinashakaranam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Ekadantaya Vidmahe Vakrutundaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. Om Sarvamangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanye Trayambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Om Aim Saraswati Swaha. Om Shrim Mahalakshmiye Namaha. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshi Yamamritat. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Bhur Bhuvaswaha. Om Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonaha Prachodayat. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Pandurangaya. Om Apadam Apahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shriramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham. Shrirama Jai Rama Jai Jai Rama. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsacharnooramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Shri Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum. Om Klim Krishnaya Namaha. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Christiane, please let us know how all our listeners can connect with us and how we're doing as overall as a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to start off, I will start off with some good news, and that is that we have reached a download milestone of over 2,000 downloads across all of our platforms. And something else that's probably equally, if not more exciting, is the fact that we've been downloaded in 25 countries and counting throughout the world. So when I heard that, I was very excited and a little nervous. And I thought, oh, wow, we're really going global. I need to up my game here. So thank you, everyone across the world who's been tuning in. And also thank you to everyone on social media who's been engaging with us. As you know, we're on Facebook at Divine Discoveries. We're on Instagram at divine_discoveries_108. We have our dedicated WhatsApp channel. If you search Divine Discoveries, you'll find us there. We also have our inbox, our email address, divinediscoveries108@gmail.com. Thank you to everyone who's been leaving us questions and comments on the various platforms. Something else that you could do that would really help us out would be if you could take the time and rate us, give us a rating on the platforms, because this would really help us out in terms of visibility and exposure to more listeners. So we would appreciate that in advance. And thank you for everyone who is chiming and tuning in here with us.
I'd like to also just echo what you said and really thank all our listeners, because to get to this many downloads, in a span of what we're hitting our 8th month here, I really appreciate all of those individuals who have taken the time to listen, because I know time is precious for everybody. So if anybody's taking the time to actually listen to us and tune in on their commutes to work or whatever free time they have, that they're actually tuning in, it means a lot to Team Divine Discoveries, and our utmost gratitude to all of you. Continue to please follow us, listen, share, and we truly appreciate everything, all the support that we're getting from all of you. But yes, our topic today is about one of the most popular, as I said, and I would say one of the most beloved and endearing deities within the collection of deities that we have in Hinduism, which are so many of them. But Lord Ganesha is one of the most unique ones. And there's so much very deep symbology, very deep meaning to a lot of what Ganesha stands for. And we're going to explore that as we go along in this episode. But Christiane, you may have noticed this, but you probably know it's an Indian person's car. If you happen to notice through the window that there's a little elephant-headed god who we know as Lord Ganesha, a little murti or idol that is placed or attached to the dashboard on these cars, or somewhere you see a sticker or something like that of Ganesha. And I think he's internationally, probably, as I said in the Krishna episode as well, highly recognizable figure. And that's it's very auspicious time, because now, as you know, this time of the year, ending of the summer, heading into the fall, is where a majority of the Hindu festivals are celebrated. And Ganesh Chaturthi is the next one coming up. The common understanding about Lord Ganesha is that he is a deity that represents great wisdom, great intellect, good fortune, one who controls or removes the obstacles. And, some people also look at him because he always has a plate full of sweets somewhere near him. So a lot of people draw the connection of, if they're a foodie, they love Lord Ganesha. Because they love to eat, so they say, I want to worship a god or a form of god who loves to eat as well.
You're right. He's obviously very, very widespread and well known. And actually, my mother had a Ganesha statue for many years, and she would talk about him on occasion. So he has been in my home. He's not in my home now, but I just moved. So I should bring him in here. I think I could use him, honestly. Yeah.
You definitely should. So I'd like to actually start off by defining the name Ganesha. Okay. So what does it actually mean? So Gana means the army or the collection of people, right? The followers of God. And Ganesha means, Isha means the Lord of. So he is the Lord who is protector of all the species of this universe. Lord Ganesha is actually the son of Lord Shiva and goddess Parvati. Okay, so Shiva is known to have a lot of followers. Wherever he goes, they're always marching behind him. So Lord Ganesha is the one who is like the chief commander for all of them. Lord Shiva has given him that post. So that's another way of looking at Lord Ganesha. He's the chief commander, always giving them orders and saying, this is what you must do to carry out my father's orders.
Very cool. I did not know that, Pratt. That's incredible. Do you want to talk about some of the elements of his image, like what the symbolic meaning is behind, say, his elephant head, his large ears, his mouse vehicle, etc.? Do you want to shed some light on that?
Yes. there's a wonderful clip where Guruji speaks in a very detailed manner about each and every aspect of Lord Ganesha's appearance and its inner, deeper symbolic meaning.
The symbolic meaning of the big belly with which the name Lambodara has come to Lord Ganesha, that is the whole cosmos. And in Indian tradition, as it is known, the energy of Mahavishnu, known as Ananta, Naga, or the serpent god, mythologically discussed as the support of the whole earth, whole universe. By the support of his thousand-hooded energy, the whole universe is standing. The meaning is the cosmic energy of God is holding the cosmos. So whenever you see the image, holy image or picture of Ganesha, you will see the big belly, which is supported by a huge cobra, as if just like you put on the belt around you, he has the belt in the form of that serpentine energy. Therefore, that is the inner meaning, the mystical meaning of Ganesha having big belly is the cosmos, and the serpent is the support of that serpentine energy which is holding the entire universe. Lord Ganesha has 4 arms like every other great manifestation of the deity, the symbol of all-pervading consciousness. Now he is holding certain weapons which are very symbolic. On one hand, he is holding the food, the symbol of plenty. On the other hand, he is holding a pasha, which means the nose. Wherever our mind runs, our ego runs, that nose can capture that. And he is also holding the one of his tusk between the two. One he has completely broken himself and is holding. That is another great story behind that. And Ankusha, which means the goad, G-O-A-D, the goad which a rider of an elephant uses constantly for controlling. So with this Pasha, Ankusha, the nose, and the goad on one hand, and he is holding tusk, his own tusk on one hand, and the food on the other. These are the 4 things which he is holding in his 4 arms. Modaka means it has outward the wheat flour, cream of wheat or wheat flour. Inside, it is so sweet. Inside, it is so sweet. Outwardly, it has the cover of the wheat flour. That is what Ganesha eats. Like that, every fruit which God has given, outward, it has its peel, and inside, the fruit is very tasty and very sweet. So why Ganesha is not holding pizza or any other food? The spiritual taste is so nectarian, but it is hidden within every one of us. And that is why the Modaka, which has the covering of the body, covering of the worldly things, if you go deeper, then alone you know the real sweetness. And that is what Lord Ganesha tells, that if you turn towards the spirit, you are able to enjoy the nectarian taste which will bring you immortality. That is the symbol of that food which Ganesha is holding. The small eyes of the elephant-headed god, Ganesha, in the huge ears of the elephant, the 2 inner meaning of that. Huge-bodied elephant has very small little eyes. Like that, there are many things to see in this universe. But that which is to be seen should be seen through the insight, through the inner eye. There are many things to see. But to distinguish what is to be seen and what is not to be seen, with what approach one is to be seen and avoided, this distinction is given only to the inner eye, the insight. Where the sight cannot reach, the insight can. Therefore, Ganesha's small eye symbolizes the penetrating inner eye everyone should develop, so that they are able to see the self in everything and everything in the self. And the symbology of the fanning ears of Ganesha, who has a name called Surpakarna. You know, you have a saying in English also, that when you have the corn and the chaff put together. You have a method, like a winnowing basket, through which you can see that the chaff is separated from the corn. Similarly, the fanning is Shubpakarna. Is there are millions of things people constantly speak. In America, you call blah, blah, blah. People constantly talk. But most of the people do not know to talk the sense. Most of the talk is nonsense. Therefore, your ear should be like the ear of Ganesha. It has to only gather what is really important for self-realization, that which is immortal. And the rest of it, like the chaff, is to be forgotten. And therefore, people have to say many things, but do not receive everything. That is because we receive everything, therefore we all of us develop tension. If we really listen only to things of importance, then alone we will have peace of mind. Otherwise, we will be misled in this world. So reserve, therefore, your inner ear to listen to the wisdom. So the inner eye and the inner ear, these are the symbology of the small eye and the big ears of Lord Ganesha. The face of Ganesha, in which the trunk of an elephant, symbolizing the Om, the Pranava, which is the beginning of everything, word of God. That is what is going to illumine everybody. Therefore, the elephant head of the Supreme Lord is the symbol of Pranava or Om. Word of God leads you to God, because the word is God. Om is Brahman. And that Om or the Pranava is the symbology of the face of the most blessed Lord, Ganesha. If you meditate on that with this inner meaning, you will have the blessings of Ganesha. Just for keep you engaged, I tell it in an entertainment way. When we people have jumbo jets, why Ganesha is still using the old mouse? Like that, you may be wondering. But the inner meaning of the mouse is our egotistic mind. And wherever Ganesha big picture you see, you will see in a plate there are a lot of food that is kept. And constantly, the mouse-like mind runs constantly after the object of the senses for the pleasure or the enjoyment of the mind, enjoyment of the senses, enjoyment of the palate, etc. So during that time, Ganesha is curbing that mind, the mouse, making it his vehicle. And whenever this mouse is trying to eat the pleasures of the senses, then slowly with his toe he is pressing the tail of the rat. Which it means, when you have the Om, when you have the Om meditation, then you will see every time when the mind runs after something, that Om meditation, that's Ganesha, is immediately curbing, controlling the mouse-like mind and the senses, so that we have the control of the senses and the mind in realizing the truth. Therefore, mouse is the mind which is constantly running after worldly pleasures and making that mind the vehicle. The Lord is curbing and controlling the mind. That is, Ganesha is not just a Hindu deity, but he is for everyone. He gave that universal meaning of why we should propitiate Ganesha. See, in every worship of God manifestation in India, in ancient tradition, every God has a spouse. The spouse of God means, wife of God means the energy of God, Shakti of God, as you know. So in that, the two important Shaktis of Ganesha, the two wives, as you call symbolically, one is known as Siddhi, another is known as Buddhi. Siddhi means to attain success in whatever you do. Siddhi has several meanings. Siddhi means perfection, Siddhi means supernatural powers, Siddhi means attainment. Here it means, Siddhi means the attainment of success in whatever you do. Buddhi means an illumined mind. The two wives of Ganesha have two children. One is known as Kshema, means you are always protected. Another is known as Labha, means you are always victorious, gaining success in everything, profit in everything, gain in everything, even in earthly levels. Kshema means even though you profit, if you do not know how to protect it, then you are going to lose it. Therefore, Kshema means whatever gain you have gained, that is constantly protected also by the Lord. Therefore, whether one is a Hindu, a Christian, or Jewish, or Mohammedan, all over the world, all people want Siddhi, the attainment, Buddhi, the enlightened mind, Labha, the gain or victory and success, fortune, prosperity, and Kshema means total protection. This is a universal necessity. Whether you pray for any one among them or pray for all of them, when you pray Ganesha and worship Ganesha, you are going to get one or everything by the power of worship of the Supreme Lord. In other words, Ganesha is the bestower of health, wealth, prosperity, protection, and peace.
Okay, so that was an amazing explanation of each and every aspect of Ganesha and how the deeper meaning of each one of those body parts or the other aspects around Ganesha that you often see depicted was so beautifully explained by Guruji. Your thoughts, Christiane, what stood out to you? Was there anything that you really want to highlight that you liked?
Yes, a few things. Okay, I did not realize that in one of his forearms, he's holding a noose. And I definitely didn't get the symbolism of that to try to catch your running mind. And isn't that our challenge, right? Like my mind's going here,
Yes.
my mind's going there. I'm negative, I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm hungry. No, calm it, focus. I need my little noose. I bet it's fruit because you oftentimes the fruit has the bitter outside and you have to peel it back and peel it back. And the more you peel, the sweeter it gets, right? The best, sweetest, juiciest fruit is always on the inside, right next to the pit, right? And that's the metaphor, I guess, for our spiritual journeys. You have to keep going deeper and deeper if you want to get to the good stuff. It's not going to be on the outside. It's not going to necessarily be easy. So then the other aspect that I did not realize about Ganesha is that he has small eyes. I never noticed that. And I love that because the emphasis is supposed to be on our inner eye. That's what we're really supposed to be using here to see, to get through the Maya that our outer eyes are taking in all of the time. Let's see what else. Oh, the ears, that our ears, you know, there's a lot of needless chatter out there, right? There's a lot of
Absolutely.
noise. It's constant. It's relentless. We're bombarded and trying to block it out and focus on what we actually need to take in and should be taking it. I thought that was powerful. Oh, the other thing too I thought was interesting was the little mouse, how he could be a metaphor for our minds running after objects of the senses, the food, just scurrying about, chasing after things that aren't important. And then I thought of a concept in Judaism. We have a notion called the Yetzer Hara, which is your evil inclination. And it's kind of always there on your shoulder. Oftentimes the metaphor is it's on your shoulder, if you will. So you're always trying to tame that and focus on your good inclination. So those were some of the concepts and symbolism that Guruji highlighted that really stood out to me.
Yeah. I mean, really incredible. And I actually never knew there was so much depth to Ganesha. Like, growing up, he's always been this, for children also, they love the image of the elephant god and, they gravitate very quickly towards Ganesha. But as you get older, maybe you have that maturity to understand, but you also need somebody like Guruji to explain this or to be able to find this information somehow through the scriptures about what is the meaning of all of this. And, it's interesting because now I'm going to get into the story of how Lord Ganesha actually appeared. According to the Shiva Purana, Lord Shiva and his consort, goddess Parvati, they live in Mount Kailas. And Shiva, as you know, is often meditating or he's sometimes going off somewhere, leaves Kailas, and there's no telling where Lord Shiva is going to be at any given moment. It's really wherever I guess he needs to be, wherever there's a calling for him. And Goddess Parvati really had this inner desire to have a child. And unlike the way we are used to understanding how we reproduce in this world, it's not the same. It's not how we can relate it to God at the divine level. They can make a child appear however they want. So in this particular situation, Goddess Parvati was alone, and she was going to bathe soon. But before she did that, she said, I want to create my son who can stand on guard and be my guardian protector, you know? So what she did was she took all the natural oils, like we have natural oils that help moisturize our skin. She had some of those. She had some dust from her skin, everything. And she took all of that out and came out like a paste, like clay almost. And she made a figure of a young boy. And then she instilled power into that figure. And that boy came to life. And he was about, maybe you can say about a 7-8-year-old boy, right? Something along those lines, not a baby. And she gave him a staff and said, my son, I'd like you to stand on guard because I'm going to be bathing soon, and I would like for no one to be able to enter my inner chambers. So Lord Ganesha, as a dutiful son, he stood on guard outside and made sure that he didn't allow anybody to enter. Nobody attempted to enter until Lord Shiva himself, the ruler of that realm, actually appeared. And he told Lord Ganesha, because he had never seen him before, he said, who are you? And he said, well, I'm here to guard my mother Parvati's inner chambers because she asked me to make sure nobody gets in. And he says, but I'm Lord Shiva. I am actually her husband. And I am the man of the house. And Lord Ganesha says, whoever you may be, you're not allowed in. So at that point, Lord Shiva starts to, he has a tendency to lose his temper very quickly. So after trying to reason with the boy for a few minutes, it didn't work out. So finally they get into a duel, into a fight. Lord Shiva's trident and Ganesha's staff are striking each other, and they're having combat. And Lord Shiva also recognizes that this boy is not ordinary. So he's like, what kind of power does this boy have to be able to stop me from entering my own home? And eventually that boy, he gives him an ultimatum and he says, please just understand that I'm Parvati's husband and I have full rights to get in. And Ganesha says, no, my orders have been given to me and I cannot let you in under any circumstances. So then Lord Shiva says, okay, if that's what it comes to, I'm going to have to take a drastic measure. And he whirls up his trident and he launches it towards Ganesha, and it severs the head of that young boy, and he drops dead. And the entire heavenly realms all shook at that time. So then Goddess Parvati, after she finishes bathing, she comes out, and to her horror, she sees that her young boy is dead at the hands of her husband, and his head is somewhere else, and the rest of his body is lying there, and she's completely distraught. And she starts off obviously lamenting the death of her child, very saddened and depressed. But then after that, she just rises and into this extremely ferocious form called Mahakali. And she gets really, really infuriated and upset. And she tells Lord Shiva, I don't care what happened. You need to make sure that my son is brought back to life. And when she becomes Mahakali, everybody around her, Brahma, Lord Vishnu, they all are completely terror-stricken. And they're like, she can destroy everything if we let this continue. So they all talk to Lord Shiva and consult with him and say, we need to make sure that somehow you bring this boy back to life because we don't want to face the wrath of Ma Kali, who is a fierce form of your wife. So then Lord Shiva says, okay, he sends his ganas, his army of people, and he says, go to the southern side of the Himalayas, and I want you to see the first creature that you see walking past that area. I would like you to sever its head and bring its head back. Okay? Now, that happens to be an elephant that is walking, and that's how we know he got the elephant head, right? So the elephant's head was brought back because that was the first creature that crossed that path, and they attached that elephant head to the boy's body, and then Lord Shiva restored life back to him. He stood up, and at that point in time, he was given the name Ganesha, or Ganapati, or Gajanana. There's so many names to him that all represent one of the names, actually, Gajanana, the last one I said, is the one who has the elephant head, okay? And the interesting thing about that is all this had to play out in a way because there was a demon in the disguise of an elephant that was terrorizing the nether regions. And when Shiva sent his people out, the plan was we bring the head of wisdom, which is elephants are very bright animals, right? So he brought the head of wisdom and instilled it on his son's body. And he, at the same time, was able to kill that demon who was terrorizing the world. So that's how it all played out. So a lot of people can look at the story and say, how would Lord Shiva, being God, not know who the boy is? Why would he get into a tussle with the young lad? Why would he take that measure to kill the young boy, right? Or to sever his head and all that stuff. It seems very graphic and very strange because why would God not know, right? But these symbolic stories are not to be taken literally. That's why there's a mythological aspect to them because they come from the Puranas, and these Puranas are nothing but stories that symbolize something, that try to teach us a deeper meaning about life. So the head of the elephant is supposed to be the head that replaces the original human head, which is ego-filled, egocentric. So when we lose our ego and spiritual wisdom is filled within our great intellect, that mind has killed off the egotistic mind, if that makes sense. So this elephant head replacing the human head is nothing but a symbology of a human who is filled with ego, destroying that ego within him, and now having complete spiritual illumination.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing this so eloquently, Pratt. Wow. Okay, let me ask a sort of related question. How's Ganesha's birthday celebrated throughout the Hindu world?
Sure. Actually, it's the celebration, as I mentioned earlier, is called Ganesh Chaturthi. Chaturthi means the fourth day after the waning of the moon. So when we have a new moon, the fourth day after that, in this particular month that we're in, usually it falls somewhere in the latter August or early September timeframe. This time all our festivals came early, so it's going to be on August 27th, as I mentioned. And so Ganesh Chaturthi is, actually I should mention this also. There's a Ganesh Chaturthi that's like the fourth day after the new moon that happens every month, okay? But the one that is most prominent and really celebrated as his true birth anniversary is the one that we celebrate in this time of the year. So this particular Ganesh Chaturthi is the most prominent one. And how it's celebrated is very beautiful, actually. So there's a lot of craftsmen in India who make from clay beautiful images of Ganesha, big, small, medium, all different sizes. They paint them, they make them look so beautiful. And they're either installed somewhere in the community, or sometimes it depends on the family and their traditions. But the families that are traditionally doing this every year, what they do is they either make the Ganesha idol themselves, or they buy one from the market, bring it to their home, install it in their respective temple rooms, and they do offer puja worship to it daily. Daily puja worship. And they do an arti, which means, like, when we sing the glories of that Lord in that very sweet form, and we show the fire to kind of sanctify the home and have the God shower his blessings on everybody. And food is offered to that God. Many a time, it depends on the level of devotion and what you feel is right for you. Many a time, the people do fast for a partial day, and then maybe in the evening they eat a light dinner. Of course, they offer whatever they cook, and fruits and flowers and sweets. All these things are made in abundance, and they're offered to Lord Ganesha during that. Usually, I would say the maximum that idol is kept in the home is for 10 days. 10 days. It could be longer if you wish to, but Ganesh Chaturthi is the day that you welcome Lord Ganesha into your home. So that's typically the start of how many days that you keep Lord Ganesha in your home. Okay? And when I say keep him in your home, there is just like you have for Christmas, we put the Christmas tree when Christmas is over, and however many days after that you wish to keep it, but then you do take it down, right? So just like we bring Ganesha into our home, there's a ritual called the Visarjan, where we actually take the Ganesha idol made of clay and we immerse it into the holy rivers or whatever body of water that you have close by. And that clay will then go back, disintegrate, just like our bodies. It's a symbolic thing again. See how much symbology there is in Ganesha? That when you immerse him back in that clay figure idol, it decomposes and goes back into being the matter that it was. So just like same thing with our human bodies or any creature's bodies, the body has to decompose, go back into being matter, and the spirit will always remain with you. So it is, for some people, especially children, it's very sad because they're very excited when they bring Ganesha into the house, but then when the procession is happening to take him out and then they sink him into the water, little kids who don't understand this get very distraught and start crying. This really is a sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's part of the tradition. It's such a beautiful tradition, really. So, and they also, those who eat no meat, absolutely no meat, no onion, garlic, that's considered sattvic food. And that's how they celebrate. There's a lot of sweets, So I would say this, most of the other festivals that we have, there's a lot more fasting and stuff like that. But I feel like Ganesh Chaturthi, obviously some people who want to fast and eat light, that's fine. But the others who are big foodies, as long as the food contains no meat and no onion, garlic, like I said, they can have a feast as well. So it depends on how you like to celebrate it. But I would say there's a lot more eating involved and a lot more delicious food involved compared to the other festivals that we celebrate.
All right. Well, Pratt, why haven't you invited me to this festival yet? You've been holding out on me. Come on.
Next year, come on.
I've done the fast ones. The fasting ones.
I mean, you're more than welcome to join us around this time of the year next year, or whichever Ganesh Chaturthi you can come for. That would be wonderful.
Okay.
I'd love to have you.
Thank you.
And actually, we're going to be doing there's a 2-day puja that we do in my home specifically. So the day before Ganesh Chaturthi, which is Tuesday, we do a puja. The married women of our home, my mom and my wife, they both sit together and do Gauri Puja. Gauri is another name for Goddess Parvati, who is the mother of Lord Ganesha. So they invoke her blessings, and she also blesses, the entire family, and mainly married women pray to the goddess for the well-being of their husbands. So that's what they will be doing. And the next day, all of us collectively, especially the children, will be doing the Ganesh Puja. And my dad serves as the priest in both the rituals. So we look forward to that in the next couple of days. So that's what we're going to do at home, and we'll definitely be enjoying the amazing food after that. I did want to mention also, tied into the story that I talked about Lord Ganesha's birth, or how he came into being and how he got the elephant head. I also want to mention one little tidbit there, which is very important, because before we do any puja to any deity, or before any personal or business major endeavors or anything, any major undertakings we do in our life, Lord Ganesha is always to be invoked and prayed to first. And why would that be? The reason for that is, as I said, Mother Parvati was extremely upset about the condition of her son, seeing his dead body. So once the elephant head was attached and brought back to life, all the powerful deities around, Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva himself, just to appease the Mother Divine a little bit more, so that she can be calm and happy with her son brought back to life, they said, we will instill all our powers into this young boy, and we want to bless him with that benediction that every auspicious ritual, undertaking, puja, what have you, must begin with an ode or a prayer or a salutation or a shloka, mantra, whatever, or a mini puja even, to Lord Ganesha first. So they bestowed that grace on him. So much so that when Lord Shiva actually had to kill a demon, he had his bow and arrow ready, right? He's pulling his string back and he was about to release the arrow, but the arrow wouldn't release. It's almost like he was frozen. Okay? And you would imagine, Lord Shiva, who can stop him from doing anything? And he was about to shoot that arrow, and the arrow would not release from the bow. The reason for that is he didn't remember his own son. So they say, even in that moment, Lord Ganesha should have been remembered first, even by his own father, Lord Shiva. And because a little mini Ganesha was sitting on the tip of that arrow, and he was saying, Dad, you didn't think about me. So then Lord Shiva says, may I please shoot this arrow? Yes. Okay, so that's so these kind of stories, again, I don't want anybody to take them too literally, but the understanding is that Lord Ganesha should always be worshipped, invoked first before any major undertaking. So that leads me now to Christiane, asking you. We already discussed how Lord Ganesha's birthday is celebrated, Ganesh Chaturthi, how he's worshipped within India, within Hinduism. So I'm curious to know, what did your research tell you about how Ganesha is worshipped in other countries, in other religions? How is Ganesha viewed and worshipped outside of these boundaries?
Absolutely. Obviously, the main center of Ganesha worship is India and the other South Asian countries of Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. Outside India, I would say there's kind of two tiers, if you will. He's worshipped in both the traditional Hindu ways, like some of the ways that you just talked about, through temples, pujas, and the festivals. And that's been largely brought by the Hindu diasporic communities throughout the globe. And then there's also like adapted forms, if you will, that sort of reflect a more local or indigenous religious customs and practices. I would say, obviously, his role as a removal of obstacles makes him a universal figure, and he's really embraced in many different diverse settings. Obviously, what's not to be drawn to, right? His symbolism of wisdom and prosperity and the remover of obstacles. So obviously, throughout the world, we also see yoga and meditation circles, right? Invoking his name and his image. I don't know if he's necessarily worshipped in a devotional sense throughout the whole world, but I don't think there can be any doubt, as we've said, that he's recognized and respected symbolically the world over. So a lot of this he's spread through trade, spread through migration, and also, like he's just so relatable, he's so endearing, he's so approachable, he's cute, right? With his big belly and his ears, and he often has these infantile depictions, you just want to give him a hug. So I'm going to get into some more, I'm going to go like country specific here, but Pratt, I have a little trivia question for you. If you get this, then I'm definitely going to have to do something for you. It's a little bit of a stumper. Okay, you ready?
Sure. I'll give it my best.
It's Jeopardy here. Here we go. What is the only country in the world that features Ganesha on its currency? Any guesses?
Cambodia?
Ooh, you know what? You're close. You are very close, my friend. It is not Cambodia, but you're in the right neighborhood. It's Indonesia.
That was another one I was thinking of.
Which is, Muslim majority country. Obviously, there's so I learned, so in 1998, the Indonesia 20,000 rupiah banknote featured Ganesha on the reverse side. So on one side, there was an Indonesian education pioneer. And then on the back, there was an image of Ganesha along with a major Indonesian university. So Balinese Hinduism obviously features Ganesha prominently. And there's a historical presence of Ganesha in Indonesia going back to the 1st century CE, Common Era. I did some research on Jainism. So in Jainism, Ganesha is obviously a pan-Indian, if you will, pan-Indian symbol of auspiciousness. So he's revered in the Jain community, and there's evidence going back to the 9th and 10th centuries of Ganesha being included in Jain ritual practices. He's in many temples, especially in Western India. But he's not considered, and I'm so sorry, I'm going to butcher a lot of names here, but he's not considered a Tirthankara or a spiritual teacher or an enlightened being. He's considered a yaksha in Jainism, which is more of a guardian spirit. And he's particularly invoked during the start of auspicious activities, business ventures and rituals similar to Hindu practice. And then, I've been reading Jains are traditionally merchants and business people. So it makes sense that Ganesha is linked with success in trade and business. In Buddhism, Ganesha is in both the Mahayana and the Vajrayana Buddhism, which is especially in Nepal, Tibet, and Southeast Asia. And he has been integrated into the Buddhist pantheon. So in Tantric Buddhist traditions, he's sometimes seen as a guardian of Dharma or as a form of Maharakta Ganapati, which means the great red lord of hosts. And here he's depicted in bright red, and he's like radiating fiery energy, and he has 10 arms holding various weapons. He's super fierce. This is not our chubby, cute little cuddly buddy.
Sure.
So he's taken
They all have a fierce side to them, I'm telling you.
They all have a fierce side. That's right. That's right. In Tibet, he's often paired with a bodhisattva, like Avalokitesvara. I don't know if you've ever heard of Avalokitesvara, but he's the bodhisattva of compassion in Mahayana Buddhism. So he's often seen with him. In Thailand, Ganesha is called Phra Thikanet. In Cambodia, which you'd mentioned, ancient Khmer temples feature Ganesha. He's featured prominently at the monumental Angkor Wat, which, by the way, here's another piece of trivia I learned this week. Angkor Wat is the world's largest religious monument in the world. And its main dedication is to the god Vishnu. And Vishnu is the focus, but there are carvings and images of Ganesha throughout Angkor Wat. Let's see, in Myanmar or Burma, Ganesha is commonly called Mahapian. It's from Sanskrit Mahapina, which means great prosperity. And again, he's integrated into Burmese Buddhist folk and religion. In Malaysia and Singapore, he's worshipped mainly by the Tamil Hindu community, but he's also extended into the Chinese and Buddhist traditions, making him one of the most recognizable Hindu gods in Malaysia and Singapore. Oh, this was interesting to me too. In Vietnam, there's an ethnic indigenous group, mostly agricultural group called the Cham, Cham. They worship Ganesha, particularly around the harvest, because he's associated with prosperity, and here they're farmers.
Yep.
And the Cham people were exposed through Hindu trade and cultural exchange, starting in like the 2nd and 4th century CE. Today, most of them are Muslim, Cham, but they still have this aspect of Ganesha worship. And there's still, I think, a minority community that's mostly Hindu.
Wow.
Moving along to East Asia, Ganesha's found throughout the temples of China. In Japan, he has his own name, Gangi Ten or Shoten. And it means, I know he has his own, Japanese name.
Wow.
It means diva of bliss or god of joy. And he's considered a Buddhist deity, one of 10 rather than Hindu. And he's entered Japan apparently through Chinese esoteric Buddhism.
Wow.
And unlike in India, where he's primarily the remover of obstacles, in Japan, Kangiten, or as we would say, Ganesha, is associated more with worldly blessings, such as wealth, health, fertility, business success. So he's worshipped in about 250 temples in Japan, and he's really merged with local traditions. And sometimes he's seen as a manifestation of Daikokuten, which is one of the 7 lucky gods of Japan. So that's traditional, like Japanese beliefs, that there's 7 lucky gods, and one of whom is our Ganesha.
Wow.
And let's see, last but least, Indo-Caribbean Hindus, Trinidad, Tobago, Guyana, and Suriname. They've blended Indian and local traditions. And I think we need to get this on our podcast. Ganesha bhajans may be sung in a Caribbean musical style with harmonium, dolak, and tassa drums.
Oh.
So that's what I've learned for you folks. Ganesha around the world. I'm sure there's way more, but this is what I have.
That was amazing. That was amazing. I mean, really, unless you actually are from some of these countries, you wouldn't know how far of a reach Lord Ganesha has, and how he's worshipped in different ways and names and forms, and unbelievable. Wow. It's actually reminds me of the fact that when Ganesh Chaturthi, the processions with holding the big Ganesha idol, and they're heading towards the Visarjan, where they immerse it into the river and ocean and all that, all different religious subgroups, whether they're Hindus or not, often join in, and Muslims, and everybody forgets their issues, at least for that time period, and they like to come and join into the fun and celebrate Lord Ganesha and his special festival. I mean, I think that's awesome. I think there's something definitely powerful about a deity like that, who can be so unifying and bring people together despite differences that they display any other time other than maybe this particular time. I mean, it's awesome,
World peace through Ganesha.
World
I love
peace
it.
through Ganesha. I mean, absolutely. Well said. Well said. And thank you so much for researching all that. I mean, really, it just gives us such a beautiful, vibrant understanding of Ganesha, which is how he's celebrated everywhere. That's really amazing and enlightening. Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Pratt. Yeah, I had fun doing it. Okay, let me ask you a question now.
Shoot.
I've always known that Ganesha is the remover of obstacles, right? That's what everyone says. He's the remover of obstacles.
Vignaharta is remover of obstacles. Yes.
Right. The Vignaharta is the one that surprised me, that I need you to shed some light on, which is that he's also known as the, quote, placer of obstacles. What is that all about?
Sure. So as I said, and as you also alluded to, that Ganesha is very much a protector, a guardian deity, one who takes care of the species. But at the same time, you have to understand that there's a law of karma that applies to all people, right? So when we think about the obstacles that come in our life, right, those obstacles are generally a reaction to the karmas that we have done, either consciously or unconsciously or voluntarily, involuntarily, whatever it may be. The fruits of our karmas that we're supposed to receive good, bad, or indifferent, we receive all of them. And Lord Ganesha somewhere is the one who is, you can say in one sense, doling it out, but I really think that what he's doing is also testing our mettle, testing our character, and seeing also how much can this person do without thinking about the divine, right? How much is this person thinking all this is me? I'm so powerful, I can do everything. So it's really the obstacles come to remind us that this world of duality, nothing that we do is going to be ever as simple as we're planning it to be, or never as smooth or easy as we're thinking it's going to be. There's going to be some challenges that you're going to have to deal with. And how are you dealing with those? And in that, are you getting that realization that, just like Lord Shiva did before he shot that arrow, that's what he got, that realization that, I needed to get the green signal from my son, so to speak. Ganesha, I've given him the power to be able to do that. That's in his portfolio. So it's just to remind us that, in this imperfect world, try to look towards the perfection within yourself and try to invoke the grace of that perfection, and therefore everything in your path will be cleared off. So I hope that sort of makes sense to you, Christiane. What do you think?
That makes perfect sense, to remember where it all came from.
Right.
And don't let your ego get in the way and think that you're the one running the show or controlling things or whatnot.
Exactly.
Like, just kind of check yourself with a little humility.
Absolutely. Lord Ganesha is often connected with creativity, literary works, writing, music, arts, just the overall creative process, I would say. So, I'd like to, I know you have some interesting, unique connections there that you're going to tell us, Christiane, but before that, I'd like to actually talk about the great epic known as the Mahabharata, the biggest piece of literature ever written that we know of till date. And the scribe of said epic, Mahabharata, was none other than Lord Ganesha. Imagine that. He's the one who wrote the Mahabharata, okay? Now, we often give the credit of the composition of the Mahabharata to the great sage Vedavyasa, who we have mentioned in several episodes, right? He's the one who compiled the Vedas. He's the one who wrote the Puranas, all the big major stories, the mythological stories that we spoke about, right? So all those Puranas and the Vedas and all are credited to him, to having made those available to us, right? But that Vedavyasa had done so much that, he needed somebody to be able to dictate to so that he didn't have to write it. So Ganesha was the chosen scribe. And so interesting story here is that he's called, one of the names of Lord Ganesha is Ekadanta. Eka means one, and Danta means tooth, or in this case, tusk. Okay? Guruji touched on this earlier in the video. So he has the one tusk, which he actually broke off himself. So Ganesha, as the scribe, actually used his own tusk to write the Mahabharata. Now, interesting thing is this. He challenged Vedavyasa, the Maharishi Vedavyasa, and he said to sage Vyasa, he said, I will be the scribe, provided you never take a pause. Meaning, you have to keep dictating. I don't have that kind of time. So he said, I will be the scribe as long as you don't stop talking. Okay? Imagine this. And then Vedavyasa says, no problem. I won't stop as long as you write what you're writing with full understanding, not just surface level understanding, but the deeper understanding of what I'm dictating to you. So they both put challenges on each other. Okay? But there was no one better to be able to come through on those challenges than they both respectively were. So Vedavyasa was able to nonstop dictate, and Ganesha, being the intellectual wisdom-filled deity, could easily process and understand the true deep meaning of everything that was being dictated to him, and he continued to write. That's the little story that's tied in with him being the writer of the Mahabharata.
I read that too, Pratt. And also it's kind of genius too, because it forced the process to slow down. It's like, well, fine, I'll write the whole thing in one, or I'll dictate the whole thing, but then you have to understand it as it's being written down. So it really probably forced a mindfulness that probably was not going to be there.
Yep.
And then I read something else about the Ekadanta, the one tusk.
Yes.
That Ganesha did this intentionally, that he had two tusks and he broke one of his own off. And this could be symbolically seen as like a sacrifice that he made so that he could continue his mission of transcribing the Mahabharata. And that this is symbolic of what is necessary for true knowledge and true artistic endeavors. You have to make sacrifices. It's not easy. It's often very painful along the way. So I thought that was interesting. I started getting curious about what famous creatives have been known or inspired by Lord Ganesha. And I think, it makes a lot of sense too, that so many creatives and artists have turned to Lord Ganesha because, every artist talks about like his or her muse, right? That they need inspiration. They need something divine, something heavenly to help them. Writers talk about writer's block, and musicians can go into studios and they're stuck, or they'll have a terrible day, or their voices and their vocal cords are behaving or whatever. We all need that extra push in the form of the divine. So I can see why, many artists historically and present day have turned to Ganesha. So some that I found out about, I don't know, this might be more for our South Asian market. Visual artist, someone by the name of M.F. Hussain is known as a modern... Oh, okay, so I guess he or she, I don't know, is known as a modernist expressionist with a mix of folk art, has repeatedly painted Ganesha. There's someone else I read about, Jamini Roy, who is known for doing bold, iconic forms of Ganesha. And then some contemporary Indian artists, Seema Kohli, Anjali Ella Menon, and Paresh Maiti, I guess all feature Ganesha. Musicians, I think many Americans know this, and Brits, of course, or Beatle lovers in general. George Harrison, he was a practitioner of Hinduism and a Ganesha devotee who had Ganesha statues in his home and his recording studios. Ravi Shankar, the sitar maestro, lifelong devotee. And I know many Indian classical musicians begin their performances with Ganesh Vandana. Yeah. I did not know this. I've read a lot of these Western transcendentalists like Henry David Thoreau, Walt Whitman, and Ralph Waldo Emerson. They were all influenced by the Vedantic tradition. Let's see. We have modern writers such as Elizabeth Gilbert, who invokes Ganesha. She's the author of Eat, Pray, Love. And let's see. Bollywood. Got to have a lot of devotees in Bollywood. Shilpa Shetty. Shilpa Shetty. This is just the list. I'm sure there's thousands. Salman Khan, Priyanka Chopra. I'm probably saying, I never know how to say this name. Hrithik.
Hrithik Roshan.
Hrithik Roshan.
Very popular guy. Very popular guy. Yeah.
Pratt, your personal fave, if I can call you out. I know this one. Amitabh Bachchan.
Oh yeah. Oh
yes.
Yep.
Here's a Bollywood composer, Bappi Lahiri.
Yep.
And then it wouldn't be fair. I have to, even though I'm a little bit partial or a lot partial to Bollywood, I gotta mention Hollywood.
Sure.
Lena Headey from Game of Thrones has a tattoo of Lord Ganesha and also Goddess Lakshmi.
Oh, wow.
And speaking of Eat, Pray, Love, the always beautiful Julia Roberts is a known practitioner of Hinduism. So this is just what I found out. That one's a little bit more well known. I'm sure there's
Richard Gere also is a
others.
Buddhist.
Okay.
Yeah. So I knew that. I mean, so there's some connections. Yeah. But go ahead. Yeah. Go on.
That's it. That's all. That's my list.
Okay. Yeah.
If you know of any more.
I mean, there's several. I mean, there's so many. Yeah. But Ganesha, like I said, Ganesh Chaturthi, everybody celebrates it, and they celebrate it in their own way, however they like to, and it's wonderful. Like I said, it's something that you'll see people posting on social media, celebrities with the Ganeshas in their respective homes and them doing the prayers and worships and with all the abundant of food and sweets and everything laid out right in front of the altar and everything, So this is what I'm going to be seeing in the next couple of days when Ganesh Chaturthi is actually happening. This is what you're going to see everybody posting who celebrates it. So it's
Very
beautiful.
Cool.
It's beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So thank you for that.
Sure. Lots of fun. I'm learning a ton here.
Had a few additional interesting things about Ganesha that I wanted to mention.
Okay.
So, there's a tradition or a sect within Hinduism called Ganapatya, which is interesting because there are Vaishnava traditions, which is where Lord Vishnu is the supreme, Shaiva traditions where Lord Shiva is the supreme. So this Ganapatya tradition or sect is where they consider Ganesha to be the supreme Lord. Everything comes from Ganesha. And that's largely the people who believe this or who follow this. I wouldn't say everybody in these regions, but largely this is where they're concentrated, is in Maharashtra, which is where Mumbai and all, Pune and all that. And then there's southern India. So southern India largely is where some of these followers of the tradition are located. And there's a interesting thing. I never knew this until I was actually watching some of Guruji's discourses on Ganesha, and I was trying to come up with what we were going to play earlier, where he had mentioned that there's a female aspect of Ganesha, female goddess with Ganesha's or elephant head, just like Ganesha, and it's called Vigneshwari or Vinayaki. And let me read a little bit about that. Vigneshwari, also known as Vinayaki or Ganeshani, is the female manifestation of the Hindu deity Ganesha. She is characterized by an elephantine head and a woman's body and shares Ganesha's role as the remover of obstacles. Vigneshwari is worshipped in various forms across different traditions, including as a yogini in tantric practices and as a Shakti or independent goddess. So this is unbelievable to me. Like, I honestly would have I never knew this. I never knew this. In 44 years of my life, there you go. You all know how old I am. I had no clue about this aspect of Ganesha. And thanks to Guruji just mentioning that, I did my own research and just read out to you briefly what that aspect of Ganesha is all about. That it just goes to show that everybody, like we spoke about in the Lord Shiva episode, has that feminine energy and that masculine energy. We're a combination of both. So there's no only one or the other.
Absolutely. I didn't know that either in my 24 years. No, I'm just kidding.
I wish I could say that, Christiane.
I'm fibbing.
One more thing I wanted to mention was that, how we spoke about in our Cosmic Creation and Time episode, we spoke about the yugas or the different eras of periods of time, right? So we have the Krita Yuga or the Sat Yuga, which is known as the Golden Age. Then we have the Treta Yuga, which is the Silver Age. And then we have the Dwapara Yuga, which is the Iron Age, the Copper Age, and the Kali Yuga, which is the Iron Age. And essentially, in each one of those yugas, Ganesha appeared in different forms. So in the Golden Age, or the Sat Yuga, or the Krita Yuga, he is known as Mahotkata Vinayaka. His name is Mahotkata Vinayaka. And in that form, he was 10-armed and seated on a lion and radiant like the sun, appeared in the Krita Yuga, as I said, to defeat the demons Narantaka and Devantaka. So that was in the first era of the four. Then in the second era, which is called Treta Yuga, he was known as Mayureshwara, or the peacock rider. So Mayureshwara, white-colored with 6 arms, and riding a peacock, appeared in the Treta Yuga to battle the demon Sindhu. So the third one, which is the Dwapara Yuga, the one prior to this Yuga that we're in right now, is his name was Gajanana, the elephant-faced one. And Gajanana was red in color and mounted on his rat, manifested in the Dwapara Yuga and destroyed the demon Sindhurasura. So, that's the form of Ganesha that we most recently had appear in this world was the four-armed Ganesha that happened in the Yuga prior. So that's why we always worship a four-armed version of Ganesha. But there's supposed to be a two-armed version for this Kali Yuga yet to appear, and his name is going to be Dhumraketu. Dhumraketu, or the smoke-bannered one. Dhumraketu, a smoke-colored form of Ganesha with two arms, will appear in the future during the Kali Yuga. He will ride a blue horse and battle the forces of evil to restore cosmic order. So, similar to how there's a prophecy about Lord Vishnu taking his 10th, or not his 10th incarnation, but out of the 10 most highlighted ones, it's called Kalki avatar. Supposed to come at the end of the Kali Yuga to pull the curtain down, so to speak. He's going to be riding a white horse. So similarly, in this case, they're saying Dhumraketu, that version of Ganesha, will have two arms and he'll be riding a blue horse. Very interesting prophecy. So I just thought I'd share that as well. Okay, so some very popular Ganesha shlokas or mantras with meaning I'd like to go ahead and recite now. So the first one is Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Shashi Varnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. This is often recited and heard in the beginning of the Vishnu Sahasranama. That means the 1,000 names of Vishnu. It's a humongous long recitation of the several names of Lord Vishnu. And this is the first one that comes up. This is for Ganesha. So you see, Lord Vishnu is largely considered supreme. But even before you recite his 1,000 names, you must recite Ganesha's worship mantra first. So what it means is, I bow to you, Lord Ganesha, the one who is dressed in splendid white garments, who is pervading everywhere, whose complexion resembles that of the moon, and the one with 4 arms. Oh, the one with the pleasant face, I meditate on that form. Please nullify all the obstacles in my path. And the one that we do always is Vakratunda Mahakaya. Well, Guruji used to teach it as Koti Surya, but this goes Surya Koti, the opposite. So Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. The meaning is, oh, the Lord with a curved trunk and with a magnificent body, whose radiance is that of millions of suns, I bow to you, Lord, such that all my works get done without any obstacles all the time.
Very nice. And the magnificent body, this is Ganesha's full figure for everyone out there with a fuller figure.
Yes.
I like it.
Absolutely. Nothing to be ashamed of. Then there's Mother Gayatri, as I mentioned in previous episodes, where there's a goddess named Gayatri. She's the one who allows our wisdom, the spiritual wisdom, to be absorbed with our intellect. So we ask for her blessings always. Now every deity has their version or connection with goddess Gayatri. So this particular mantra is called Ganesha Gayatri mantra. So it goes Om Ekadantaya Vidmahe Vakratundaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. So that means, oh, the Lord with single tusk, who is omnipresent and the one with a curved trunk, I meditate upon you for great intellect. I bow to you, the Lord with a single tusk, to illuminate my mind with wisdom. Another one I recited today, Gajananam Bhuta Ganadhi Sevitam Kapitta Jambhu Phala Sara Bhakshitam Uma Sutam Shoka Vinasha Karanam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam. So it means, I bow to you, the Lord with the face of an elephant, Gajanana, one who is served by the celestial attendants, Bhuta Ganas, and other beings, the one who consumes the extract of kapitta or wood apple and jambul fruits or jamun. O the son of goddess Uma or Parvati, who is the cause for destroying the sorrows, I reverently bow to the lotus feet of Lord Vigneshwara, one who controls or removes the obstacles. And the last one I'd like to do is actually sung by many. So I'll actually sing it for you instead of chanting it like that. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha Shri Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namaha Ashtavinayak Namo Namaha, Ganapati Bappa Moreya. So that's sung by everybody when they do the final arti. After the puja is done to Ganesha, they sing this. And what it means is, I invoke the Lord with the sacred mantra, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. That salutations to the Lord Vinayaka, who grants siddhis. I offer my salutations to the 8 distinct murtis of Vinayaka. O the Lord of Ganas, please bless us. If you cannot chant any big shlokas or cannot memorize any big mantras of Ganesha, the simple seed mantra is Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. That's enough. And now we've come to our holy days of the month. So Christiane, I believe you have a couple of holy days in August that you'd like to share?
Yes, I do. So August 2nd and August 3rd of this month, we had a holiday on the Jewish calendar called Tisha B'Av, and it is the culmination of the 3 weeks, which is a period of time during which we mark the destruction of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. So Tisha B'Av is actually known as being the saddest day on the Jewish calendar, because both of our holy temples in Jerusalem, historically we've had 2, were destroyed on this date. The first temple was burned by the Babylonians in 423 before the Common Era, and the second temple fell to the Romans in 69 Common Era, unleashing a period of suffering. And later on in history, many more tragedies happened around this date, and we attribute to this date, including in the year 1290, the expulsion of all of England's Jews occurred, and in 1492, the banishment of all the Jews happened from Spain. So Tisha B'Av is a day in which we fast, we sit on the floor, we pray, and we remember. That's one thing that the Jewish nation, the Jewish people are really good at, is remembering and reflecting on our history. And we remember the tragedies that have befallen our people on that date. So it is very sad. It is very somber. I'm sorry to be so negative here, but that is what happened early this month. But then it's not all doom and gloom. As the month goes on, it kind of lifts, if you will. And on the 15th day of the month of Av, we have a holiday called Tu B'Av. So that was August 9th of this year. And in that date, the Talmud says that many years ago, the quote, daughters of Jerusalem would go dance in the vineyards, and whoever did not have a wife would go there to find himself a bride. So it's an auspicious time to find love, and it's become somewhat of a Israeli or a Jewish diaspora Valentine's Day, if you will. So those were our August holidays. Pratt, how about you?
Wow. Okay. Thank you for letting us know about that. And our best wishes to those who celebrated that this month. So on the Hindu side, we have on August 2nd, there was a festival called Adi Perukku. It's a popular Tamil culture festival, also known as Patinetham Perukku, celebrated on the 18th day of the Tamil month of Adi to honor the life-giving properties of water. The festival involves rituals and prayers at riverbanks to thank the monsoon and river goddesses for agricultural abundance and prosperity. Traditional dishes are prepared, and buying gold on this day is considered auspicious, symbolizing prosperity and new beginnings. August 3rd, I'd just like to mention, was, I believe in India, the celebration of Friendship Day. While we don't consider that to be some sort of holy day in terms of traditionally how we pray to some deity or something. But at the end of the day, you know how God's grace manifests in our lives. You can never really tell how it's going to manifest. But anytime you have a true companion or a true friend who's always looking out for your best, we all have to recognize and be thankful that we have such friends. So I wanted to mention that. I know that international level Friendship Day or something was around the end of July. So it was right around that same time. But August 3rd in India is Friendship Day. So I hope everybody, whoever celebrated that with their friends, I hope they had a good time. August 8th is a couple of things were celebrated. Varalakshmi Vratam. So that's to Mahalakshmi. Well, the significance of that is to seek the blessings of Goddess Lakshmi for prosperity, wealth, health, wisdom, and overall well-being for the family, especially for married women and their loved ones. This auspicious ritual is performed to invoke the various forms of Lakshmi, such as Dhana Lakshmi, wealth, and Vidya Lakshmi, wisdom, ensuring peace and harmony within the home and family. And then after that, we had Hayagriva Jayanti on the same day, August 8th. It's a Hindu festival celebrating the appearance of Lord Hayagriva, the horse-headed incarnation of Lord Vishnu, who is revered as the deity of knowledge and wisdom. The festival occurs on Shravana Purnima, the full moon day of the Shravana month, and involves purification rituals, setting up altars, chanting mantras, and offering prayers to honor the deity and seek blessings for wisdom, knowledge, and sharp focus. Another thing we know Lord Ganesha for as well. Then on August 9th, we celebrated Raksha Bandhan, which is where sisters tie this string, beautiful ornament-filled string, to their brother's wrists. And it's a celebration of the bond between the brother and sister. The affection between them is observed in most Indian communities around the world. According to the Hindu calendar, Raksha Bandhan is celebrated also in the Shravan month during that full moon day or Purnima day. Gayatri Jayanti, I mentioned goddess Gayatri just now, the goddess of spiritual intellect and wisdom. Her appearance day is also celebrated in June by the North Indians, but on August 9th, it was celebrated in southern India. So you can see how sometimes these deities have different appearance days based on the regions in India. Interesting, very unique. And it's also the day, because I mentioned goddess Gayatri, that's when if you are initiated with the Gayatri mantra as a young boy, at some point you had Upanayanam, or my son Vivan had that done last year. So he got the sacred thread that he has to wear across from his left shoulder all the way across the right side of his body. It's called a Janeu also, right? So that is the day, August 9th, Raksha Bandhan Day, is also the day that we get a new thread. We replace the old one with the new one. So that's what we do every year on that particular day. And it's also the day that's called Sanskrit Divas. In other words, it's the World Sanskrit Day, also known as Vishwa Samskrita Divas, is an annual event focused around the ancient Indian language Sanskrit that incorporates lectures about the language and is aimed to promote its revival and maintenance. August 14th was Balaram Jayanti. Now, in the last episode that we had, if you haven't heard that yet, please do. We spoke about Lord Krishna and his birth appearance, which was celebrated August 15th through the 16th, called Sri Krishna Janmashtami. So we did our Krishna special. So Lord Balarama is the older brother of Lord Krishna. And on August 15th, we also celebrated, along with Sri Krishna Janmashtami, Kali Jayanti. So as I mentioned, Goddess Parvati, when she got really furious and upset, and when she has to take on that really dark, fierce form to kill demons and evil spirits, she takes on that form called Mahakali or Kali. And her appearance day also was that day. And August 15th is also the Independence Day of India. 1947 was the year that independence was gained from the British. So then August 25th, Varaha Jayanti. I'm not going to speak much about this, but Varaha Avatar is the divine boar incarnation of Lord Vishnu. It's the third among the 10 that are most prominently spoken about. And we did an episode on this called The Animal Avatars of Lord Vishnu. So I would highly encourage all of you who wish to know more about the Varaha Avatar to go back and listen to that. August 26th, we celebrate Gauri Habba, which, as I mentioned, is the day that we seek the blessings of Goddess Parvati, or also known as Gauri. And the significance of this is, Gauri Habba is a Hindu festival celebrated a day before Ganesh Chaturthi. And it's largely celebrated in South India. This festival celebrates the goddess Gauri, who is venerated as the mother of Ganesha. It is usually observed by married women and is a significant festival, especially in the region where my family originates from, called Karnataka. That's the state of India. And then, of course, August 27th is Sri Ganesh Chaturthi. So that's what we've been talking about all episode long. So time to get the celebration started. And I hope to release this episode on that very day. So those of you who have the time to listen, that would be wonderful. And it would be a blessing for us if you actually tune in that day. And August 31st, which is the very last day of the month, we have a holy day called Radhashtami, Sri Radhashtami. Radha is the bliss aspect of Krishna, and she's also the lover of Krishna. So Radhashtami is the Hindu religious day commemorating the birth anniversary of the goddess Radha, the chief consort of the god Krishna. It is celebrated in her birthplace, Barsana, and the entire Braj region on the 8th day of the bright half of the lunar month of Bhadrapada. So with that, we come to the end of August and all our holy days. I'd like to really wish everybody a very, very happy and prosperous and safe Ganesh Chaturthi celebration coming up. I hope you all enjoy yourselves, eat well, eat healthy, but eat well, and seek the blessings of that God, of Lord Ganesha, to always be upon everybody in the world. And may everybody be healed from whatever distresses that they're dealing with. May their obstacles be removed. We pray and wish for that peace in the entire world. So with that, I'd say Om Shanti. What do you think, Christiane?
Om Shanti. Beautiful. You said it all, Prat. Amen. Thank you. Happy Ganesh Chaturthi, everyone.